Well, let's start with a structured program. If there is a structured program in place, there are certain things you can do. Now, what does it mean if there is a structured program in place? If there is a structured program in place, and if the company is committed to retain a certain percentage of the interns, there must be metrics in place which are used to evaluate all interns. So if there are 100 interns, we need to be able to compare intern number 1 to intern number 2 to intern number 3 on some objective criteria. So your job, if you know it's a structured program, your job is to find out what those metrics and those criteria are. You need to know everything about the process. Talk to your manager, ask him, how does it work? What metrics are being used to decide who gets the offer? Talk to HR. Talk to the department that owns this process. Usually it's a department called University Programs. They own the process. They get all the evaluations from the managers and they decide who gets offers and who doesn't. So make sure you understand who is the one who owns the process. Talk to them. What are the metrics? Who is the one that evaluates me? Most of the time it's the manager who has to give a hire or no hire decision. Talk to the manager as well and tell him what are the metrics that are being used to determine whether or not I would be brought on full time. So make sure you know everything about the process. And even though it sounds straightforward, trust me when I tell you that 90% of the people do not even bother investigating further how everything works. I remember during my own internship, even everybody wanted to have the full-time offer in hand, obviously, but almost nobody knew how the entire process worked. I was one of the very few people who actually did the work and investigated how everything worked. I knew everything about the process, and that way I could specifically work on those metrics to make sure everything I do influences my metrics in a favorable way. So this is step number 1. Find out what those metrics are, know everything about the process, own the process. Now, once you know what those metrics are, set up weekly or bi-weekly one-on-one meetings with your manager in which you report what you did, in which you report your progress, and in which you have an open feedback loop about how well are you doing compared to those metrics that you have identified. So make sure your manager knows, I want the full-time offer. There is nothing wrong saying it to your manager. I want the full-time offer. Those are the metrics. How am I doing in terms of achieving those metrics? What is going well? What is not going well? What can I do to improve my metrics so that I will be in the top 30%? Make sure that this is your goal and work with your managers on those goals. And by doing it in this structured way, you're already eliminating one big risk factor that we have discussed before, which is enthusiasm. Somebody who does the due diligence and shows that they are really serious and committed about getting the offer shows that they are enthusiastic. So one risk factor is already gone. Okay? So by doing that, you demonstrate that you have low risk.